SCS Software has never really had any real competition. Ever since hitting a home run with ETS2 back in 2013, they've sat untouched at the very top of the truck sim genre, a 13-year reign that no one's been able to interrupt. That kind of success created a very unusual side effect within the community. Over time, a big chunk of the player base actually started rooting for a rival studio to come along and steal that crown, built on the belief that SCS had become lazy, and that a true rival was a necessary evil to force ETS2 and later ATS to reach their full potential. So whenever a new game got announced, everyone held their breath. First came Truck Driver in 2019, then Alaskan Road Truckers in 2023, Heavy Cargo in 2024. None of these could even get close to compete. But then came 2025, a major studio announcing their next-gen trucking simulation game, Sabre Interactive, a true giant entering the scene, known for huge success in the driving niche, ready to teach SCS Software a real lesson. Fast forward to today, and Road Kings has gone from announcing a 2026 release to simply appearing on Steam as to be announced. So after all that talk about SCS finally getting a real challenger, well, I think it's becoming pretty obvious why SCS has never really had any real competition. So where did it all start to go wrong? Because something happened along the way. You see, Road Kings wasn't supposed to be another name on that list. Sabre Interactive, backed by Focus Entertainment, created huge expectations for the truck sim players. And the start was strong, with licensed truck brands like Mack and International. They promised to deliver a proper career mode that takes you from being a rookie driver all the way up to an owner-operator. The game showcased dynamic weather, even hinting at seasons being present. All that got us standing, but there was more. An advanced company management system, multiplayer elements, and a beautiful world built in Unreal Engine. Seeing all of this made it hard not to be hyped. And if you read between the lines, it promised everything that's currently missing from SCS Software titles. But as a matter of fact, there's a lot of legwork from seeing something advertised and actually have it released. Now, don't get me wrong here, I'm no way saying that Road Kings has failed as a game before we even got to play it. But as a competitor to SCS, so far there is nothing supporting that statement. This same scenario keeps happening with every other title. Truck World Australia, for example, has been sitting on my wishlist for a long time now. Sure, unlike Road Kings, it's developed by a much smaller team, and I'm not comparing, but still it makes me wonder, when is it actually coming out, if it actually comes out, and whether its fate will be similar to the previous titles we've gone through over the past 7 years. Everybody looks at ATS and ETS2 and thinks there's room to build something newer, better. Including myself, I kept pushing my agenda for what I think could make these games better. Better graphics, deeper interaction, more realistic systems. And our voices got so loud that many made an attempt to bring that to us. And still, none of them could do it. All these other attempts to compete only made us appreciate SCS even more. Every extra year they take to figure this out is another year where SCS keeps evolving, further increasing that distance between them and any real competition in this truck sim genre. And real quick, speaking about ways of making these games even better, this part of the video is sponsored by Beam Eye Tracker. This is an amazing and affordable piece of software, and in simple words, it takes something you already have, your webcam or your phone, and turns that into a head tracking device. Being able to just move your head and control the in-game camera is such a game changer. It gives ETS2, ATS and any other driving game a much more immersive feeling without needing dedicated expensive hardware. With the most recent update, Beam is easier to set up, easier to keep updated, and it laid the groundwork for better game integrations moving forward. On top of that, Beam is now coming to macOS and Linux. If you want to try it yourself, you'll find my affiliate link in the description and the comment section below. Now, back to our story. I think what comes next is the real reason SCS Software has managed to keep that crown for so long. And that's because SCS Software never took us for granted. And I know that's gonna spark some debate, but hear me out because that's exactly why they will never have real competition. Today, looking at ETS2 and ATS, it's easy to forget just how uncertain all of this once was. Back when ETS2 was still being developed, SCS was struggling with money, and there was no guaranteed audience waiting for this release. Development was taking longer than expected, and the costs kept growing. They reached a point where they openly admitted that they weren't even sure the game would make back what they initially invested, let alone make a profit out of it. I guess they were betting the future of the company on that, hoping that if they made a good enough truck simulator, we would show up for it. And God knows we did, not only show up but stayed with them ever since. ETS2 became a success far beyond anyone could have expected, and that success eventually gave us American Truck Simulator, years of expansions, a much bigger studio, and the SCS software we know today. For me, the most important part is what happened after they made it, because success can change a company for good or for worse, and it's usually the latter. Once you know millions of players are invested in your game, it becomes really easy to assume they'll always be there. But in all honesty, SCS never really acted that way towards us. They kept working as if they still had something to prove, and you can still see it today. ETS2 is still expanding, ATS is expanding. We have Road Trip trying to turn ATS into something much bigger than just trucking, Coaches doing the same thing for ETS2 essentially, console versions actively in development, new map DLCs being lined up years ahead, and plenty of updates that show up like clockwork. Some of these things are taking longer than people would have wanted. Trust me, I know. I'd happily take a Going East rework tomorrow, and I need them rigid trucks like yesterday. And I'd still say that there are plenty of areas where I know these games could go deeper, and I've made more than enough videos talking about those topics. But there's also something that I've realized over time. When they announce something, I don't wonder whether it's actually going to happen. Sure, maybe I do find myself wondering about when that specific update or rework is coming, but there's a big difference between those two questions. They don't usually make promises that keep getting delayed, and when they finally put something out there and start showing us the work behind it, there's a certain confidence that comes with that. It might take longer, plans might change, but you can absolutely be sure that it is going to happen. And after looking at games like Truck World Australia still trying to work out an initial release, or Road Kings sharing the same situation right now, I think that trust becomes much easier to appreciate. That crown they kept wasn't because they've always done everything perfectly. They earned it because they've been consistent for a very long time. There's something beautiful about that relationship between us and them. When you look back at where it started, at one point SCS needed us to trust them enough to buy ETS2 and give the company a future. We did. And instead of treating that like something they were entitled to, SCS spent the next decade giving us reasons to keep believing in them. That doesn't mean we stopped asking for more, I'll never do. If anything, I think wanting more from a game is part of why this community has stayed involved for so long. There's also a difference between criticizing a developer because you've given up on them and criticizing them because you genuinely believe they can do better. And after all these years, I'm 100% in the second camp. However impatient I might be about the next rework, the next feature, or the next truck, I trust that SCS still believes these games are worth building, and that might be their biggest advantage of all. I wanna end this video with something a bit more personal. I know nothing lasts forever, and there's always a chance that one day a better game will come along and be crowned as the best trucking game out there. But in my heart, no matter what, ETS2 and ATS will probably last forever. Besides the countless memories I've made playing these games, they filled my heart with passion that led me to create this channel and connect with all of you. For that, I will forever be grateful. And as always, until the next time, stay safe on the road and keep on trucking. Cheers.